Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Hands on SAP Dev with Q Macro. That's me, DJ. This is episode 80, and the title is quite long and it's gone off my screen. But basically, I'm looking forward today to sort of hacking around again, but in a new light with the wonderful workflow management tools and services, plus the SAP Business Application Studio. So yeah, I'm glad you're here. Welcome. Moin moin to Helmut in Hanover. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. I've got my coffee, which reminds me I've got something to share with you. Domi, good morning from to Vienna. It's great to have you. You've not been here for a while. Good morning, Mark. Moinsen. That's a new one on me. Moinsen. Good morning to Mark in North Germany. That's wonderful. It's great to have you all on board. Yeah, I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling a little bit tired actually. I was going to go for a little run this morning again, but just so tired. So you'll have to help me get through this live stream. Plenty of chat. I'm looking for plenty of chat and plenty of interaction. I've got the coffee. That should help. This time I've not got a biscuit to munch through, but I've just had some toast, so I should be okay. So yes, and Jodelle, good morning to you, Jodelle. Nice to see you again. And Jins, hi, welcome. By the way, I am attempting again, as you probably may be able to see, to stream at 1080p. I checked my bandwidth again this morning, and the upstream bandwidth was around sort of 6.8, 6.9 megabits per second, so I'm just on the border. I've got a stream bitrate warning right now with YouTube. I did test this out this morning earlier, and it seemed to sort of go okay. You know, I've got a sort of a warning. It went from excellent to good. It's currently good now, but it went back up to excellent, so I'm going to give it a go. So anyway, let's get on with the program. Let's just jump to a few things I want to share. So Andrew, I'm not sure whether Andrew is here. Hemsagar, good morning to you, Hemsagar, and welcome to the stream. So a few weeks ago, I was talking about coffee, as we always do, first thing in the morning, and at least the morning for me. And I decided, let's try out sort of a experiment. And so there's a local roaster, Heart and Graft, just down the road from me, and they do some amazing coffee. And I thought, right, let's randomly pick a person, the first person to put something in a chat or something, and that was Andrew down in Australia. And so I sent Andrew this Heart and Graft coffee roastery, Heart and Graft Miriam Perez Natural. And Andrew has received it. It took a while to get there, all the way from Manchester down to Melbourne, but it got there. So Andrew's enjoying that. So I think the next thing, Jorge, good morning, Nas. Does that mean good morning or something? I apologise, Nas. But anyway, yeah. So I think the next thing to do is for Andrew, when he's next on the live stream, to pick out somebody to send some coffee to from there, and we'll go round, as a sort of a chain reaction type thing. I'm just going to shut this door, one sec. There we go, lovely. I'm back. Okay, so yeah, so there we go. NAS, it's kind of okay. Well, I'll say NAS to you then as well, with lots of S's. So yeah, so there's the coffee. That's exactly the coffee I'm drinking here. It's the Miriam Perez Natural, which is really, really good. What else am I going to share? Oh yes, the wonderful Anna Young, a current colleague of ours at the moment. Anna is a product advocate, sort of temporarily attached to our developer advocate team, which is awesome, along with another set of awesome people. And Anna wrote a few weeks ago Kima Hands-On Part 1, which is really good. I definitely recommend it. I'm going to put the link to this one here in the chat. I've not read this yet, but I'm looking. Oh, in fact, I've not even put it on my Pocket To-Do reading thing there where you're saving. It only came out, was it yesterday or day before yesterday? Yes. With some fantastic illustrations as well, which is really nice. But part 1 was awesome. So read part 1 and then read part 2. Really, really interesting and important sort of subject as well. You know, as SAP Cloud Platform is, you know, is this multi-cloud, multi-environment platform. You know, Kima being one of the key environments. You know, it's super interesting to follow what Anna's doing. So definitely recommend that. In fact, I'm going to put the link to the part 1 as well, because why not? There we go. So that's the Kima hands-on part 1 and part 2 from Anna. And what else have we got? Oh yes, so by the way, I just like this tweet from my colleague Marius, because of the nice little emoticon here, or emoji, or whatever you call it. It's one I can sort of, you know, I understand what it is when I look at it. You know, other ones, most of the emojis, it's like, what is that? What does that mean? But this one, you know, party, EU10 is back. So yes, as you probably know, if you Cloud Platform developers know, EU10 went for a little holiday, but it's back. So if you're creating a new trial account, for example, EU10 is now available again. Yeah, back. Gregor pointed out. I can see the tweet down there. That Gregor pointed out that back at the end of June, that's when EU10 went on holiday. But it's back. So welcome back, EU10. I think we can all agree there that we should give it a warm welcome back. That's really cool. Nice little tweet from Marius. Hey, good morning, Mahesh. And yes, hello, hello, hello. Great to have you. Great to have you. Okay, that was that Kima thing. I've already tweeted that. Oh yes. So if you didn't see it, there was a great video, a great live stream in the ABAP Freak Show series from Tom. That was streamed on Tuesday this week about TypeScript, and the whole time, Helmut, I was thinking of you. I don't think you were on. You managed to get on the stream, but anyway, check that out. Really, really good. So this is looking at. So Tom was looking at TypeScript in general, which is like you can imagine it as a layer on top of JavaScript. You know, introducing, you know, to bring along strong typing and all the benefits that has. For example, you know, a lot of command completion in editors and so on, and lots of sort of documentation as well, and sort of specifications that you can, you know, look at in an editor that supports that. Like for example here, the VS Code IDE, and using TypeScript with CAP, which is pretty awesome. I mean, actually, a lot of CAP is written using TypeScript. You know, a lot of the Node.js CAP is written using TypeScript, plus lots of other things as well, including, for example, VS Code extensions. I know Jodel, you've written some VS Code extensions. Yes, we had a really nice debate about TypeScript and about strongly typed languages and so on, and OO, and you know, it's always nice to sort of, you know, stretch your brain a bit and just, you know, I like to take sort of strong opinions, not because they're strong, not because I hold them close to my heart, but it just forces me to just, again, think about those things so I can, you know, defend those strong opinions against people who rightly challenge me. So that's why, you know, that's why I have these strong opinions. They're not really strong opinions, loosely held, I think, is the, you know, the philosophy I subscribe to. Anyway, so check that out. And that reminded me as well, I think, yeah, I would like to do some more coding again. So I'm thinking, let me know in the chat or in the comments whether you think this is a good idea or a bad idea. Just let me know either way. I'm thinking of doing some more coding. I mean, I saw somebody do in fact, this guy here, CJ, he wrote a polyfill effectively for the reduce function, which was really nice, on his stream, one of the streams. And I thought, let's do that maybe, and then use reduce, almost like a bootstrapping mechanism, write a reduce ourselves, and then use reduce to write our own map and filter and find, because, you know, as we all know, reduce is the mother of all functions. Yes, you can also use functional programming with TypeScript. Yes, exactly. Yes, and Mark, we should open up a thread in Slack for that topic as well. Definitely, definitely. Or just put some comments here, you know, in the video. And the final thing. Talking of YouTube, so I'll put the link there. Talking of YouTube, 1,911 subscribers. So thank you everybody who's been subscribing. If you're not subscribed to me, please consider subscribing. I want to see if I can make 2,000 subscribers. You know, nowhere near the, you know, the superhero that is Tom with his 10,000 subscribers, but it's like, oh yeah, when you're so close to a, a nice round number, you think, oh, can I make it? So another 90, 80, 89 subscribers to go. So please, 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 if you haven't already, please subscribe. And I've got also, I think I've got an alert as well. So if you do subscribe right now, it might appear in the video. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's get going. Let's get going. Where are we? In fact, I'll switch down here. Maybe that's the normal setting. Let's start to have a look at workflow on Cloud Platform in today's era. So we've covered workflow and SAP Cloud Platform a few times before on this live stream series. Oh, Jodel, FP, functional programming. As a philosophy, as an approach, as a paradigm to follow, and of course, I'm sure JavaScript being a multi-paradigm language, it's a really nice language to have these debates in and try different things out, and stretch yourself in different directions. So it's not ignorance at all. FP, it's an acronym, so you got to ask. Definitely, yeah, functional programming, which is a wonderful thing, I think. Mental exercise, lots of other things. Anyway, the background to what I want to do today, the background is that some of you know that we run code jams. Of course, right now we're not running code jams because of the lockdown and everything, so we can't go to different places and have people in and hack on things together. That'll restart when we can restart things, whatever that is, don't know. But when we were doing code jams, I authored a couple of code jam contents. That's not really English, but I'm going to say that anyway. One of which was a workflow code jam relating to Cloud Platform. Where's the main page here? Relating to Cloud Platform and getting workflow set up using the Cloud Connector, connecting to a backend system, using Postman, all sorts of lovely things. And the approach that we took, sort of partly because it was necessary, but mostly because it was a beautiful way to understand more about how SAP Cloud Platform works, we took hey, greetings Pedro, welcome. We took an approach which is basically, let's create some a role collection with these roles in it. Let's go into the Cloud Platform and let's go and look at the quota, set up an instance of the workflow service manually, go through the whole sort of process on the cockpit to set all these things up, which is great because we learn. And that's really cool. And we can still do that. That's still possible. And then also one of the other things we did was we used the SAP Web IDE to bring about a Fiori Launchpad site on the SAP Cloud Platform, in our sub-account using the portal service, and that Launchpad site had the tiles that we love and know and love, the My Inbox tile and the Monitor Workflows, two tiles, the workflow definitions and the workflow instances, which is great, and we set those up manually using with this thing. Where is it? It was in the next exercise. Sorry, next exercise 2, which was deploying the workflow tools, and we use this sample application, workflow applications on SAP Fiori Launchpad for Cloud Foundry brackets trial close brackets, which is quite a mouthful, but very interesting again. And in this exercise, we dug into a little bit of that, and that's on the Web IDE. Now, what I want to do today is experiment with some really cool, very new stuff, new to me, I think anyway, very new stuff on SAP Cloud Platform, and also an alternative to using this sample application on Web IDE. We're going to do it on the Business Application Studio and start from a slightly different place. So let's start together. So there's the background. Here is my Cloud Platform account. This is my main one because why not? And I've cleared it all out. So this account here, nothing at my sleeves as it were. This account, there we go, the usual thing. This account has really nothing in it at all. apart from the actual trial sub-account. It's in Europe, EU10, welcome back EU10. It's a multi-environment account. It's got no beta services set up, but we don't need them. It's on AWS, that's fine. And in there, I've got no applications and I've got 2 services in there, and that's because I'm messing around with the new HANA Cloud trial, which Tom also talked about earlier this week as well. There's a video from Tom from Wednesday on that. And also, was it last week we looked at the awesome, where are we, HANA trial, we looked at the, where is it, the APIs for SAP Cloud Platform, and that is what this, I'm not sure what that stands for, commercial something something, that's the services that supply effectively or enable the APIs here. So I'm going to keep those 2 there. So those are nothing to do with what we're going to do today, but apart from that, we got nothing. We got no applications, no services. In our trial account, we got no directories, we got no destinations, no nothing. All right. In fact, let's have a look at that as well. In the destinations, got nothing. However, did you notice that there's these things called here directories, which we looked at already. And we've got these things called boosters. Now, some of you may have seen like a very early version or seen talk of early versions of these boosters. And I think they were called recipes, boosters, whatever they're called, it doesn't really matter. And the basic idea of a booster is, for us, as far as we're concerned, is to set stuff up in a lot more comfortable way. Have things set up for you. Rather than go through setting up the role collections and assigning the role collections and setting up the service instances and service keys maybe, and setting up any destinations that you need, also checking quota as well and whatever, right? That's what these boosters do for you. And of course then there are teams, so for example the awesome workflow team or the BPM team in SAP, they've built a booster called Setup Account for Workflow Management. Okay, now workflow management, of course, encompasses not just workflow, but business rules, which we've also played around with quite a bit here on SAP, on HandsOnSAPDev with QMacro. But also this is process visibility, which I've not played with yet. I'm looking forward to playing with that and understanding it and learning about it. So this thing here sets up everything you need on SAP Cloud Platform for that, or almost everything you need. And then there's other things we're going to do in the Application Studio, Business Application Studio. So let's do that first. You can play around with boosters yourself as well. Some boosters are available in trial, some are only available in production. Nicely, this one is available in trial, which is great. So let's start. Let's just see what happens, right? Similar to tasks. See, it's such a long time, Helmut, since I've played around with this sort of thing in R3. It could be. I mean, tasks is a very generic word, so it's not really triggering anything in my memory. But let's see what happens. Let's see what it does, and maybe it will tell you whether it is the equivalent of the tasks in R3. My goodness, yes, tasks in R3. I mean, when I think of a task in R3, I'm thinking of the correction and transport system, of course, rather than anything that's related to boosters. But that's, again, terminology, and task is a very generic term. So I might be completely off target here. So, so as you can see, we got some progress. And by the way, I've reached out to the team that sort of has created this concept of boosters and made them work on SAP Cloud Platform, or another awesome team. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about SAP. You know, idiots like me can call upon these people and learn about these things, and you know, it's great. And so I can tell you as well. So I've only got one sub account. If I were to have had a second sub account, for example, and if that sub account would have had the appropriate entitlements as well, this booster would have said, you got two sub accounts, which one do you want to do it on, right? But as I've only got one sub account, it said, oh, well, that's the one, and yes, that's got the right entitlements that are required. So I'm going to go for that one. So we assign some service quotas. That will be, I've not looked into that. That will be, I'm guessing, for you know the services and so on. And now it's creating service instances. Now let's go across to see. I've been, you know, that's one of my favourite things to watch. We can see here Rather than look at the Cloud Platform cockpit, we can look at it in a proper UI, i.e. the terminal. And we can see that we had this CIS Central service instance, and we also have the HANA Cloud Trial, but all these are new. And this one here, for example, the default business rules and the default workflow instances are still being created. Okay, that's just finished there. And we've got the creating progress for the default business rules instance of the business rule service plan light, which is really nice. Okay, so that's what's happening right now. And when that, I think when that finishes, yeah, okay, it's still processing. When that finishes, it's going to create a couple of destinations. Now, you might be thinking, well, yeah, what are the destinations related to workflow? There aren't any destinations related to workflow, but there are some destinations that can or might be used in relation to business rules. And so we'll see that those destinations that are set up are business rules service related. And then it does all the user roles and role collections and everything, which we'll have a look at as well. And did you notice as well, I think it was yesterday, I saw some new UI on the Cloud Platform cockpit relating to roles, role collections, and so on, which is quite a nice improvement to the UI. So let's just wait for that to finish. In the meantime, let's go across to here, and let's go and jumpstart the Business Application Studio, right? So it's sorry, yes, I suddenly started thinking of something else then, which I can't think of do anything at the same time. So there we go. So in my trial sub account, I have access to subscriptions, and that's of course where many of you. Let me know in the comments if you've used the Business Application Studio already. It's a pretty awesome IDE, the successor to Web IDE, of course. And most, if not all, of the things you did in the Web IDE, you're going to be able to do, or you can do already in the Business Application Studio, which is nice. And what we want to do, definitely you can do in the Business Application Studio. So let's jump into the application. I've deliberately cleared out everything in my Business Application Studio as well, so I've got no dev spaces. So the concept of dev space is a little bit like a workspace in the Web IDE world. But one of the things I like the most about the Application Studio is it's basically your own environment with your own file system context and your own terminal access. So think VS Code with your own container, effectively. So I'm going to create a dev space, right? And dev space is, like I say, a little bit like workspaces. Is that what they call workspaces in Web IDE? And I'm going to call it. Let's call it episode 80. Why not? And I'm going to include. We get the basic tools. It's based on Eclipse Thayer. I think the calculator. See, I'm not a HANA person, Pedro. That's a really good question. I think Tom would be best to ask that. So ask that question in the chat, and I'll get Tom to answer that, or I can have a look and see. So not being a HANA person, I've not tried that. I know if it's not there already, it's coming. So that's all I can say. But good question, Pedro. Stick it in the comments, and so we'll get to it. We'll get to answering it. You know, I've never thought of saying to folks on the live stream, put it in the comments to the YouTube video, because I keep forgetting that there's a comment facility. So yeah, and that's a more permanent and more easily sort of interactable, that's not the word either, thing related to live streams. So I'm going to include some additional SAP extensions. The Launchpad module, I'm only going to include that because we want to have a look at that. Remember that common data model.json that we saw when we were looking at workflow tools last time? We'll have a look at that again. So we're going to the Launchpad module. We want to be able to deploy stuff, build stuff and deploy stuff. And we also, of course, want the workflow management facilities as well. So I'm going to choose those and create a dev space. Okay, so while that's creating, let's go back to, there we go. My goodness, the booster is complete. There we go, that was magic, wasn't it? In fact, let's go back to the terminal, and we can see the create has succeeded for all of those, which is really nice to see on a Friday morning, which is really nice. So what have we got? We've got some links to documentation, which is also nice. So let's go into our sub-account now and see what it's created for us. We can, sub-accounts, there we go, sub-accounts. Let's go into there. And we can see already service instances. there were 2, there are now 7, and those 7, of course, are the ones we saw just here, i.e. business rules, connectivity, portal, process visibility, and workflow. Okay, we've got no applications or no bindings yet. So normally, if we were just doing workflow, we'd just set up an instance of the workflow service, but what it's done for us as well is set up process visibility. It's also pre-set up for us because, I guess it knows that we're probably most definitely going to want to use the tiles in a Fiori Launchpad site to interact with the workflow facilities. So that's great. So it's created that for us, created a useful connectivity service instance, and business rules as well. Okay, so that's so far so good. Okay, but we don't have yet access to a Fiori Launchpad. So that's what we're going to do now with the little package we're going to load into the Application Studio. So there we go, running there, episode 80. Let's jump in. How are we doing for that? Oh yes, okay, 25 past. This may be a shorter live stream today. I wanted to finish just slightly before 9 o'clock because I've got an errand to run. I'm going to go see my grandma. But I think I should be fine for time. All SAP Business Application Studio extensions have been installed. Enjoy your work. That's a good exhortation for a Friday morning. Enjoy your work. Okay, now, one of the things that we looked at right at the start of this episode was the sample application in WebIDE. Now, of course, there are no sample applications in the Business Application Studio, but what we have in and I encourage you to check this organization out on GitHub. There's a GitHub organization called SAP-samples, and this organization on GitHub has code samples and useful stuff. Last time I looked, I'm sure it wasn't 250 odd repositories, a lot fewer than that, so it's growing all the time. So the code jam content is on SAP samples. There's all sorts of other bits and pieces. So yeah, definitely worth checking that out. And now, where was it? Was it in? Oh, I can't even remember what it's called. Oh, Cloud Process Visibility. Was it that one? Cloud Process Visibility. There we go. So there's a. Wow, that's a good guess, wasn't it? There's a GitHub repo called Cloud Process Visibility, which is maintained again by the Workflow Management BPM team. Thank you for subscribing, Alpesh. Did that come up on the screen as well? I got my screen monitor over here, but did that show on the live stream? Did it go ooh subscribed or something like that? If it did, please let me know. Just let me know whether it did or it didn't. Also, I've got this message from Streamlabs as well, which is quite cool. I didn't know that was a thing, but anyway, there we go. What's my favourite phrase? I have no idea what I'm doing. So anyway, that repo is a super interesting repo. In that, if you look at the releases, it has a release. I mean, it's back from 10th of September 2019, but it's still relevant. There's a file in there, a zip file called BPMServicesFLP. Okay, so if we download that, yes, thanks Helmut, you saw it. Awesome. Yeah, so that's like a Streamlabs integration. So I've given Streamlabs access to my YouTube through OAuth and everything, and then when something like that, a subscription happens, I've got a little what's it called, a source on my scene that will overlay that little exciting thing. Oh, what's happening to my brain? Okay, so we've got this BPMServicesFLP. I've already downloaded that. Where is it? There it is, there. And I've extracted it as well. And we'll see, rather than try and look at it in my file explorer, whatever you call it here, I'm going to drag it into the Explorer in the WebIDE. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So let's have a look here. Where's the WebIDE? There it is. There's the Explorer. Oh yeah, I need to open a workspace first. Let's just do that first. As I mentioned just before, one of the beautiful things about the Application Studio is that you get your own container. I'm going to use the word container, generic term, but you get your own container, right? It's really cool. So you've got your own file system. Anybody who's used, for example, the Google Cloud Platform shell, it's that sort of thing, right? but with a lot nicer IDE. So I'm going to say, right, I'm going to open the projects directory, which is basically a directory you get by default. Look, home user projects, right? That's the default directory. And it sort of restarts and says, right, okay, I've opened now this workspace. And if you have a look, if you make that a little bit bigger, you'll see you're in projects, okay? And also, if you open a terminal, there I am, projects, PWD, projects. And the fact that I type PWD, top, oh my goodness me, there we go, we're in a container. I'm happy because I've got my terminal. So there we go. So I'm going to drag now this BPMServicesFLP into there. I can get rid of that now. Let's make that full screen again. And we're off and running. We're off at the races. So this is what's inside this BPMServicesFLP from the 1.0.0 release in this repo, Cloud Process Visibility. Again, remember, think in terms of Cloud Process Visibility when you're looking for this. But this contains a very similar set of resources, of artifacts, that the Web IDE sample application does. Okay, so but it contains a little bit more. So let's have a dig in to see what it contains. We've got the MTA YAML, which of course, you know, we are super MTA YAML experts here now because we've stared at this sort of stuff for such a long time together, which is great. So we'll dig into that in a little bit shortly. And of course, one of the, let's just collapse this for a second. One of the resources here, where is it? There we go, UAA BPM services, which is an instance of, or defining an instance of the XS UAA service, which I can never remember the actual name of, you know, user authority and whatever. Why does my brain never remember that? Anyway, we all know what it is. And that needs, of course, some configuration, which is in the standard file XS security JSON, which is that one. So that's that one, right? And we've seen that before as well, so we don't need to look at that one. And then we've got the .shay directories, which are the sort of IDE specific things. We're going to ignore those for now. So we've got two things. We've got the BPM-FLP directory, and we've got the BPM-ServicesFLP_AppRouter directory, which is quite, again, another mouthful. But anyway, you know, we're all relaxed in this live stream, so we can say that again. BPM-ServicesFLP_AppRouter. Now, each of these directories, as we have seen before, relate effectively to the modules defined in the MTA. So this is the multi-target application, which we're going to deploy as a whole to SAP Cloud Platform shortly. So we've got these two modules, BPM-ServicesFLP_AppRouter, which is that one, and BPM-FLP, which is that one. And basically this one, the BPM-FLP, if we have a look, it requires the workflow, the process visibility, the portal, the business rules. To be honest, I'm literally suddenly wondering. Thank you, Helmut. Yes, user authentication and authorization. Yes, I'm sure authentication and authorization. Yes, but I'm sure I've seen the acronym spelled out where one of the A's is access. But anyway, you know, access, authentication, authorization. Why do all those things begin with A? Really confusing. And good morning to Max. Good morning, Max, with a spanner next to your name. Max is a moderator as well. We're trying this thing out. Or user account. Yes, account again. Access, account, authorization, administration, authentication. What other things can we think of beginning with A? Anyway, so yeah, this requires. I would maybe bet a beer, maybe not an Orval, but I would bet like a lesser beer. That it doesn't actually require all these services, because what's actually being deployed is portal stuff. And here's our common data model, right, which we've seen before. So this is a slightly, let's just do that there. I think that's that one. There we go. This is a slightly more rounded, more complete list of tiles pointing to applications that will get deployed, or the tiles will get deployed to the FLP site on the portal service. So this is what we had before. We had the My Inbox, we had the workflow monitor for definitions, and we had the workflow monitor for instances. But now we've also got another group to do with business rules. So there's a business rules tile. And we've also got another group for the PV, process visibility. Okay, so that's pretty cool. But this does exactly the same thing. This is a Cloud Foundry task. So Marius, our friend and colleague Marius, who's been on as a guest on this live stream series quite a few times before, he had an awesome blog post about Cloud Foundry tasks. In fact, let's find it. Cloud Foundry Fun Marius task. That's it there. How to use Cloud. Google, thank you very much. So check this one out from Marius. Awesome series, but also really interesting learning about the fact that some things that you deploy to SAP Cloud Platform, Cloud Foundry, they run and then they stop, but that's the intended thing. And this thing is going to be a task that runs, deploys stuff to the FLP site, and then stops. Okay. User account and authentication service of the SAP of the Cloud Foundry environment. Thank you, Jodel. That is another mouthful. We've got a lot of mouthfuls of words today. That's wonderful. And this coffee is helping me pronounce these. So I'm going to have some more. So we've seen that before, and that's basically the definition of these tiles and what they point to, what they trigger when you click them. So maybe we should try the deploy. We'll deploy this as it comes, right? And maybe get rid of some of the requires, because theoretically, I don't know. Surely it should only need the default portal, the portal service, right? Who knows? And the other thing, let's collapse that one. And the other module is basically an app router beta. We know all about app router. We've got a wonderful mini series that we all did together on the app router, didn't we? In fact, I'm going to press my button. Here we go. Channel on my Stream Deck, which will bring up my channel here. We've got playlists. SAP App Router. Did I say SAP? SAP App Router Deep Dive. There we go. Check this playlist out if you've not seen it already. Got 5. Well, we're all working together, digging into App Router and how that works and everything. So check that out. We don't need that anymore either. So we've got an App Router fronted application that's going to run in the Cloud Foundry environment, in our multi-environment Cloud Platform subaccount. And the definition of what actually gets kicked off, where are we? It's not in that one, it's in this one, is there. So we have the xs-app.json file, which, as we know, is what the app router looks at to say, what do I need to do and where do I need to send the people, etc. Once authentication has happened, and we send them to cp.portal, which is, of course, a pointer to the resources that already exist. You know, we don't have to deploy them. They already exist for us on Cloud Platform for the actual Fiori Launchpad site. So that's that. So nothing really that we haven't seen before here, except, of course, as we've as we've already discussed, except we've got now we've got business rules stuff, and we've also got the definition. Let's have a look at it in the editor. We've also got definitions of the process visibility apps as well. Okay, so let's do that. Let's build this. Let's build this baby and deploy it and see what happens. So this is like very, very similar to the flow that we had in the Web IDE, but I think it's a lot more comfortable because, of course, we can kick it off from the context menu, but also if we wanted to, we could open up a terminal, and there we go. Like there's the terminal there, and we could have kicked it off from here, right? Now, notice this is a brand new dev space. So I've just noticed in the bottom there, in the blue, the organization and space in Cloud Foundry have not been set. Now, we can either do that from the command line, as in by saying, cf login, right? Or we can just click on that little message there. But, oh, just by the way, the task, there you go, little task window here, whatever you call it, task tab. There we go. So it's built, and this is using, and we can see here a little bit further up there, this tells us what the command is. So it's using our old new friend, MBT, the multi-target build tool, which we were using sort of implicitly as well in the Web IDE, and it's available here. I mean, it's also available, of course, on the command line, MBT, right? So we get also in the App Studio, in our container, in our sort of terminal runtime, we get lots of commands, including top, of course. Including. I wonder if we got echo shell, bash programming. Anyway, I've got some bash programming to show you if we've got time. Oh my god, it's 22 already. I'm not sure I'm not sure we still need the Shay folder, but I think this zip file is, so that we can use it in the Web IDE, but also in the App Studio. Good point though, Jadel. Although, yes, because the Web IDE is Shay and this is Thea. See, I don't know enough to answer that question precisely, but I'm pretty sure, I'm with you, Jadel. I think that's just more Web IDE focused. So we built it. Now let's click on this thing here and see what happens. We've got a really nice little wizard thing here. Enter Cloud Foundry endpoint. Okay, fine. It's already that endpoint. That's cool. Enter email address, dj.adams.com, and password. So logging in, we get the bottom there. Getting organization. What organization? My goodness, a lot of mess in there, isn't there? We should clean that up, really. There we go. That organization and that space. Okay, so we're now connected to this organization, this one, 8987880, whatever it is, and to this space here. So we're connected. So we can. And it says here targeting Cloud Foundry. Blah blah blah. Yeah, very good. Thank you for that message. Thank you for that message. So now we can do a deploy. Okay, so we got the. Let's collapse these up here. Where is it? In the archive. We got the archive. So we're going to right-click deploy MTA archive. But just because we're terminal people, let's make that a little bit bigger. CF deploy MTA archives. I've don't know what it's called. Let's just say that. CD. Oh, of course. It's not in there, is it? BPM services. There we go. Fine. Deploy everything you can find. Who cares? So we're now deploying. What are we deploying? What's going on? Well, we know what's going on because we know how to read this output now. First of all, it processes all the services. And notice as well that we don't yet have, we have now, but we didn't have before a few seconds ago, this app runtime plan of the HTML5 apps repo. Is that a new plan, by the way? I've just noticed. Didn't that used to just be called runtime? Anyway, let me know. So because we're using this MTA file here and we're saying manage service, it's like, okay, well, in fact, let's have a look at the resources here. BPMServicesFLP HTML5 repo runtime, again, another mouthful. Service plan app runtime, maybe it was always app runtime. I don't know what's happened to my brain. We're saying manage service, so create it if it doesn't exist. Thank you very much indeed. And that's that thing there, And it's also, I think, there we go. It's also created this UAA, whatever UAA stands for. I think the debate's still up in the air. UAA BPM services, which is also defined in the MTA YAML file. And it's gone through, and where are we now? There we go. I know I'm flipping between different windows a little bit too fast for you. Sorry about that. So there we go. Processing service. Let's just do the highlight here. Processing service, BPM service, blah, blah, runtime. And then it does the BPM services for UAA. And then it's also saying, well, as a result of processing that one, it says, oh, I've got to create it. Process that one. Oh, I've got to create it. And I'm also going to set the service parameters from the accesssecurity.json file, which is that one over there. And then it says processing service workflow. Oh, got that already. Bang, next one. Processing service, process FLP. Got that one, got that one, got that one. Okay, so it doesn't have to do anything there. Once it's done the services, i.e. the resources upon which the modules rely, then it turns its attention to the modules, of course, that's the right order to do it. So it's say, okay, well, app router, that's this one. So it does this one first, BPM services FLP app router. Uploading, scaling, staging, starting, and we get a URL. Okay, that's cool. But it's also now creating this second application, or deploying this second application, and this is this BPM FLP module, which should, let's just do it here because we can. Watch watch CFT-A. CFT is just my version of CF, which truncates the output, which is a lot nicer. In case you realise, cat which CFT, it just does that, okay, which says basically do a CF and whatever you said and then truncate the output. There we go. A lot nicer to look at. So there we go. So we've got the BPMServicesFLP app router started and the BPMFLP is stopped, okay, and this is what we were saying before, it's a task. And I think actually there's a message, there should be a message. Also, MTA ops mon. Is there MTA operations? Oh, yep. So this is the MTA operation that's actually ongoing right now. So let's see what it's doing now. There we go. Executing task deploy on application BPM FLP. So this is a task, a deploy task. What's it doing now? Yep, that should be it. And then, so what else do we need to do? What else do we need to do? Nothing, I don't think. So the booster did everything for us. Oh yeah, while we're waiting, let's have a look what else we had in our sub account that the booster set up for us. While we're waiting for that to finish, we've got a couple of destinations that the booster created, and also we've got this role collection. What's it called? BPM services, which has a number of roles. This is that. I'm pretty sure this UI. This role collection UI has only appeared this week. I think it appeared yesterday. Am I right? Has anybody seen this before this week? I think it's really nice. Really much better organization of stuff and see what's going on. And it's already created this role collection with these different roles in, and then it's assigned it to me as well, which is pretty cool. Thank you, Booster. What else has it done? I think that's pretty much it, which is a lot, right? So. And it's finished, right? It's executing task, deploy, and also we can see, oh yeah, process finished, right, fine. And so that's still in the stopped state. So now let us CF open BPM. I know Max, are you still here? Services FLP app. I got to know about this CF Open feature plugin from Max, but I still want to write a plugin that will go and I still want to write this sort of completion thing that will go and allow me to auto-complete the names of the apps as well, which of course, you know, is a little bit complex. We need to go and get what the apps are from the back end. But anyway, let's open that. Let's see what happens. And there we go. There's exactly the tile layout that we saw in the common data model JSON. Right, and you know, this is what we want, this is what we're looking for, this workflow group, but we've got the business rules, you know, we've seen this before as well. This is a lot easier, but, and the big but is, yes, use these boosters and, you know, use this pre-configured zip file, but don't forget to stare at the stuff that's happening so that we, you know, you continue to understand. It's great that you're still there, thanks Max, that you understand what's going on, okay? So I think for us, this is the best of both worlds. We get the boosters to do it when we, you know, it's like, just get it done, but we also understand what actually is happening in the background, okay? So there's the business rules. Let's go back here. We've got the My Inbox, of course, which we all know and love. There's no workflow definitions at all. As we can see from the monitor workflow definitions, no definitions, I don't think. No, of course, it's a brand new instance of the workflow service. I've not deployed anything to it. So there we go. So the last thing, I mean, I think that's pretty cool, right? The last thing I want to show you though is, because I'm rewriting the workflow cloud platform workflow code jam content. So we can do it virtually, but also swapping it over from Web.80 to App Studio. And so I've been playing around with these boosters this week and getting a lot of help from the people and getting a lot of help from the awesome people in the App Studio teams as well. And I've been doing this, you know, a few times. So I got a little bit bored of deleting all the things that the booster had created to start again and try again and shoot different things. So what I did, I thought I'd share that with you because I would love to hear from you either in the chat or in the comments. Is this the sort of thing that you're also coming up against in your daily work, as you know, while you discover this stuff, while you build things with this stuff, you know, when you're testing things out, when you're on sort of early stages of projects for customers and so on? I'm sure I can't be the only one who wants to sort of have an automated sort of clear up, tear down, setup of these different things. So anyway, what I've got, where is it? Oh, we're here. Yeah, what I've got is a couple of scripts, bash scripts, which I suppose we could run also, right, in the container of the App Studio. We should try that. But anyway, let's have a look at this reset here. So reset the workflow management environment in Cloud Foundry. Use with care, right? So deletes the services set up by the Workflow Management Booster and the apps and the services deployed from, there's a typo there, from the BPMServicesFLP package. So I'm still learning, still, you know, in learning mode. I've always been in learning mode as far as the, you know, a good way to write bash scripts, and I'm sort of tending now towards the sort of the Python-esque style of defining all the things at the top of the file. So I've got a function definition here and another function definition here, and then sort of towards the bottom of the file, I just say, right, call this, call that, do this, do that, bam, 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 done. Is this something that you folks do as well? But anyway, I've got this little function here, which uses CF to delete a given app. So we can, you know, call this delete app function with an app name and it'll delete it. Fine, it encapsulates that. I've also got this delete service function, but I've actually since then extracted that. Yeah, actually, let's just have a quick look at that. Dot file script DSIK. DSIK stands for delete service instance with keys, because I found that when you try to delete a service and it's got some service keys, it says I'm not deleting that because you got some service keys. So I want to delete service keys as well. I now want to delete everything. So what we do is we say, let's go and get the service keys of the instance that we're given, strip off all the nonsense that the Cloud Foundry command line output gives you, just give me the actual data, and then look for the, you know, the actual first word or the first string on the line, which is the service key, right? So those are all the keys. We loop through those keys and we use the DS key, the delete service key command in CF to delete those keys, right? And of course the DSK function in CF, you need to supply the instance ID as well as the key ID. And then once we've done that, once we've deleted all the keys, all the children effectively, then we can delete the parent, i.e. the actual service itself, with CFDS. So that's a nice little utility that I use now on its own, but I'm also using it over here instead of this one. In fact, we can get rid of this one now. There we go, there, save that. First, show the user the Cloud Foundry and their SAP CP targets and get them to confirm, i.e., you know, this is what we're targeting right now in the deletions. Are you sure? Yes, okay, fine. Then we can delete the apps because, of course, you know, before we can delete a service, we have to delete apps because those will have bindings to the services. We can't delete a service if there's a binding to the service. So we delete those two apps that we've just deployed, and then we just grab these names of service instances into a string called instances, and we just loop through those and use the DSIK function over here, or command, to delete those instances. And then finally we want to delete the role collection, and then I've got finally over here I've got another delete destination script, utils, where are we, delete destination, yeah, that's the one we want there, delete destination. And that's a little bit more involved, because, and I'll come to that in a second. And basically what we want to do is delete the destinations business rules and business rules API of the destination created. So in fact, let's just comment that one out and then run it. Reset. In fact, SAP CP login. Let's make sure we're logged in. Cool. And also we want to target that sub account. So now utils reset we've got time. Yeah, we've got to go in a minute. Reset. Proceed with the reset. Yes. So that's now going to delete. Get rid of that. Right. Where's the app spaces? Space. Now it's deleted the BPMFLP app. It's deleted the app router app. Okay, so there's no apps anymore, and now it's going to go through and start deleting the service instances. And as you can see here, there's in the default business rules, there's a service key. Okay, so some of the services were created without any service keys, but the default business rules service instance was created with a key. So it's found that key, it's deleted that key, and now it can find and delete the default business rules service instance itself. Now, notice as well, and I've just noticed this recently, that the output, right, and this is something that maybe Max is going to comment on, the output of, you know, the delete command. In some cases, let's say delete service, BPM services, blah, 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 repo runtime. Okay, that's it. But when we get to, say, deleting service, default business rules, we get okay, but we also get deleting progress, use CF services or CF to check operation status. And that is, I think, the result of different service brokers doing different things in different ways. Because when we look at the CF services, we can see which service broker was used to create that service instance, right? Oh, Helmut, interesting question. I just think about if it's possible to do with Jupyter Notebooks what you are doing with your bash scripts. Advantage, there's documentation. So are you saying, Helmut, that we could possibly do what we're doing here on the command line in Jupyter Notebooks and have documentation interspersed? That's a really nice idea. Would we be able to use Bash? Is there a Bash Jupyter Notebook platform environment, or or would we do this in JavaScript or Python? That's a really interesting idea. So Max, okay, thanks for confirming. It depends on the implementation of the service broker. So these messages are coming from the service broker, which again I want to dig into a little bit more with Max's help, of course. I'm getting a lot of stuff from Max on this. Super awesome person, as we know. Oh, Max is there. Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. Don't tell him I said that. So now everything is deleted, or is in the process of being deleted. Okay, so that's deleted. Now, the cool thing, or the interesting thing, last few minutes, the interesting thing about deleting a destination is that we need to do that with the API. Okay, there's no direct possibility, as far as I'm aware, to delete or to manage destinations from a CLI, but of course we've got the destination service and we've got the APIs available for the destination service. So we can say, for example, here, destination configuration, v1 subaccounts, delete, okay? But it means that we need to get an access token to authenticate, with a bearer token, which means we need a service key, which means we need a service instance of the destination service. So is this a thing you do, maybe? I just want to spin up a service instance of the destination service, generate a key for it. So I've got the client ID and the client secret, and where to authenticate, what the auth token endpoint is, get a token, do the actual work, and then tear everything down. Okay, delete the service key in the service, and that's what I'm doing here. So in fact, we can say delete utils, delete destinations, and then what was it called? Business rules. Can't remember what it's called now. Cat utils reset. There we go. There. Let's just copy paste that in. There. Oh, I should be using the business rules. Let's have that. There we go. So we're going to say now, I'm specifying two destinations. So it sets up a service instance, and I'm using the GUI gen. This thing here. Oh, it's done it already. There we go. Let's see. VI utils delete destination. I'm using this UUID gen to generate a random UUID for that. Okay. Cattle not pets. Create a service instance, giving it that name. Create a service key in that service instance. Delete that destination, and with the access token that we get, we delete this business rules destination. We delete the business rules API of destination, and then we delete the keys for the service instance, and then we delete the service instance, and that's it, and that's clean. Okay, it's 8:59 and 44 seconds. I better get going to see my grandma. I hope that was useful. I hope that was interesting. We're going to put something in the comments. I can't remember what it is now. Oh, whatever it was in the comments, put it in the comments. Let me know, and please, if you've not already subscribed, please subscribe and make me a happy person this Friday. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for joining. Have a great weekend. Have a great rest of Friday and the weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.